Next, if you want to grow your profitability in snow and ice, I might suggest you start taking a look at a number that's sort of an unsung hero when it comes to estimating. That's revenue per hour. A lot of companies focus on the two big numbers when estimating, and that is gross profit and net profit. Gross profit is how much money your business brings home after all the job costs are paid. And net profit is how much money your business brings home after the job costs and the overhead costs are paid. And those two are really important numbers for estimating. Obviously, we don't want to do work unless we can be profitable. But there's another number called revenue per hour that'll really help you grow your profits with as little people as possible. And that's important because labor is our biggest challenge in the contracting industry. Trying to find, keep, retain, and manage labor is not only difficult, it's also expensive. Each time we need to add manpower, we have to find people to hire, we have to keep them, we have to train them, we have to have the systems and policies and procedures to manage them. Eventually, I have to hire more managers to manage them. Those managers need trucks. I need more people in the office to keep up with the paperwork, and so on and so on. Growing labor is a really expensive and difficult proposition for a lot of companies. So one of the secrets to getting more profitable is to grow your revenue per hour, or grow how much sales your business can do with as little amount of hours as possible. Revenue per hour, simply put, is just your sales divided by your man hours worked. Or when it comes to a job, it's the price of the job divided by the man hours worked on that job. So when it comes to snow and ice, you've got sort of three different types of jobs in general. At the low end of the revenue per hour spectrum, you got your sidewalk shoveling. A sidewalk shoveler can move snow, but it's slow and labor intensive. Each shovel, scoop by scoop, they can push the snow out of the way, and then they can hand salt the walks. And while it's not necessarily bad work, it's low revenue per hour work. You're not going to generate a whole lot of revenue per man hour when you're shoveling sidewalks. In the middle of the spectrum, you've got a plow truck with a plow on it. Now, one operator behind a plow truck is going to move a heck of a lot more snow than a sidewalk shoveler. So a plow truck and driver would have a much higher revenue per hour than a shoveler would. And on the far end of the spectrum, you've got something like a big loader with a 16 or 20 foot pusher on the front, where one operator is going to push a lot more snow than a plow truck and infinitely more snow than the guys with a sidewalk shovel. So as a general rule, your company will have more revenue per hour when you're doing work with bigger equipment, obviously, than it will on the smaller sidewalk end. The other factor when it comes to revenue per hour in snow work is your salt. Your salt applications are easy work and drive a fair bit of revenue per man hour. It only takes a few minutes to put down a whole lot of salt on a site. That means you can bill lots of money in very little man hours. And again, that's what we're looking for, more revenue per man hour. Let's take a look at how this plays out, though, when you're actually estimating. What I've constructed here is two sample estimates. One's a parking lot with a loader and a pusher, and the other's a parking lot with plow truck and walkways. Now, both these jobs are right in around a $12,400 job for the season. If I look at the services and pricing for both, you'll see they're very similar. Now, you might also notice that with my loader and pusher, I've got a 15% net profit on this job. And if I flip over to my plow truck and walkway job, I have a 20% net profit. Most companies, given the choice of which job would you rather take, will take the plow truck and walkway job. For the same price, approximately $12,400, I'm going to generate more profit with this job than I will with this job. And it may be that you want to keep it that way. But there's another number you should at least look at, and that is revenue per hour. The loader and the pusher has a lower profit margin. However, to generate this $12,400, I only need to work 69 man hours. If I look at the parking lot job, to generate, again, that $12,400, we need to work 97 man hours. So what does that mean? I need more people or more hours on this job to generate the same revenue. And again, if labor is one of your greatest challenges, then this job is going to be more difficult to manage. If I go over here to the Analysis tab, you'll notice that by taking the price of this job and dividing it by those 97 man hours worked, I'm going to come out with a number that's about $127 per man hour. That's how much sales or revenue each man hour is earning or estimated to earn on this job. Flip back to our loader and pusher job and go to the analysis. And in those 69 hours we're going to work, we're going to generate $179 a man hour. Same price, but a lot less man hours means I've got a much higher revenue per hour. So while my profit margins look bigger on the plow truck and walks job, got a 54% gross profit and a 20% net profit versus a 50 and a 15, my revenue per hour is much higher on the loader and pusher job. And you're presented with a choice. There's no right or wrong here. Some companies would argue that you want to go for more profit. Other companies might argue that it's more profitable to take the second job and ultimately start growing your revenue per man hour, because you can certainly do a lot more of these type of jobs with a lot less people by focusing on, again, jobs that use bigger equipment and more salt. Now, this is especially important in snow and ice when we're dealing with midnight shifts, transient or very seasonal help, difficulty calling people out in the middle of the night to make sure they show up for their shifts. The more people I need to hit my sales goal, the more difficult it's going to be to hit that sales goal. I'm trying to build a company that requires as little people as possible to generate as much sales as possible. And I'm going to do that by at least looking at revenue per hour. Once again, it doesn't mean you have to take the jobs that are revenue per hour high, but it just means it's a number that you should definitely look at and look beyond just the profit margins when it comes to estimating work. Now, there are some other factors that come into play here. You've got to make sure that if you are going to go for jobs with bigger equipment, that you can use the equipment enough. So one of two things here. If you're an install company, especially if you're an install company that could use another skid steer or two, try to find some snow work that needs a skid steer. That way you could use it in the winter and get it largely paid for, then also use it in the summer to make your operations that much more efficient. If you're a maintenance company that really can't use bigger equipment, then you have to make sure that if you are going to go for these revenue per hour bigger equipment jobs, that you at least make sure that you can use the equipment enough to pay for itself, or use the equipment cost calculators in LMN to make sure that you can get the money you need to get if it's going to be sitting for long periods of time. Now, another consideration is manpower. So if you've got a whole bunch of guys that you are trying to keep busy for the winter, then you can sidewalk work for sure will help keep some of those guys busy. So in summary, don't just focus on revenue per hour. No one number is a magic number for estimating, and it's certainly not the solution to everything. But it is a number that you should be paying strong attention to when you're estimating your work. In general, the better the revenue per hour, the easier the job is going to be for your company. Hope you enjoyed this tip. For more information on our budgeting, estimating, and mobile timesheet tracking system, check out www.golmn.com.